All right, let's focus in on the promises about education. The Green Party wants post-secondary school to be free, so no cost. But the cost to taxpayers would be about $16 billion. Let's bring in political analyst Michael Geoghegan on this to further the conversation. Michael, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, parents and young people across the country would find this very attractive. But how realistic is that kind of promise?
Well, the issue is that, of course, tuition fees have completely outstripped the inflation rate. They've completely outstripped wage growth, and now it's becoming a significant burden, particularly outside of Quebec. But you're right, the price tag of eliminating tuition fees is $16 billion. And of course, when you're going to university, it's not just the cost of tuition fees, it's the cost of books. And it's also the cost of living while you're studying full time. So, there's a lot of barriers to post-secondary education. At the same time, unless you're going into trades, which is looking increasingly lucrative to a number of young Canadians, if you want those traditional white-collar jobs, you need some kind of a post-secondary degree.
Absolutely. The Liberals are promising, for example, more time for students to pay back loans. So that seems to be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, a step, but a small one.
Yeah, and certainly, half of the students graduating from university in Canada are in debt. The average debt is just under $28,000. So it is significant. And we certainly, we're going down the path that the United States has, where they've really crippled their middle class by burdening their students with higher and higher debt loads. I mean, there's one American student that graduated $400,000 in debt in order to become a medical doctor. And certainly, we have to watch that as a society, because if we end up burdening our young people, then they're not buying cars, they're not buying houses, they're not buying consumer goods, and that hurts the small business sector. So it is a delicate balancing act, and all the different parties are looking at different ways of addressing this issue, and certainly some kind of student debt relief is welcome.
Is there a middle ground that exists? Is there sort of a country that does it in a way where students can get through the system and not sort of lose an arm and a leg?
Well, yeah, if you go to Western Europe, I mean, Germany and a lot of other countries are already tuition free. A lot of them have grant programs, and also the salaries, the wages, the hourly rates that they pay people when they're working are also higher. So that tends to result in a system where people can quite readily get post-secondary education without graduating massively in debt.
So really, it's 2 points here. It's about letting people keep more of their money so they can put that money into education if they so choose, but also making tuition more reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Quebec students have been very aggressive when there were moves to, jack up tuition fees the way we have in the rest of Canada. There was, in the past years and decades, there's been student strikes, et cetera. So they've been far more aggressive, far more proactive in fighting this rise. But the other issue, of course, is the cost of the universities themselves. And over the last 40 years, there's been a tremendous growth in terms of university administration and bureaucracies. And so if we're going to look at eliminating tuition fees, I think as taxpayers, we need to see much greater accountability in terms of getting universities and colleges back to the original idea of teaching and doing research, not just being burgeoning bureaucracies where you have an entire department that, does the job of what used to be one person.
Interesting. All right, Michael Geoghegan, sir, got to leave it there. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.